Because when you're in this stuck place, it's incredibly lonely. You look around and you see people eating everything in moderation, and they seem to be fine. When you look at a piece of bread and feel like you've gained 3 pounds of weight overnight. I see this in my practice every single day. I work with the impossible cases, right? The people for whom every other program has failed. And there is a common thread. Welcome back. We are officially in season 2 of the How to Take Care of Yourself podcast. I've been waiting to hit record on this specific episode for a long time because I know how many of you are hurting right now. I want to start by asking you a question that might feel like a punch in the gut. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right and your body just stopped responding? I'm talking to the person who is eating the balanced plates the dietitian told you to eat. You're dutifully choking down the fiber. You're buying the expensive organic berries. You're trying to moderate your treats. You're hitting the gym even when you're exhausted. And yet, instead of feeling vibrant, instead of the scale moving or the brain fog lifting, you feel heavier. You feel more inflamed. Your face looks puffy in the morning. Your rings feel super tight by 2 p.m. Does that ever happen to you? Oh my gosh, it used to happen to me all the time. I wouldn't be able to get them off. And most importantly, you feel like you're completely powerless against your cravings. You're like white knuckling your way through the afternoon, counting the minutes until you can eat again, or fighting a silent battle with that box of crackers in the pantry at 9 p.m. We've all been there. You ever do the 9 p.m. pantry raid? Oh God. If that's you, I want you to take a deep breath right now. We'll do it together. Inhale, exhale. Because what you're telling yourself is, I'm failing. I'm getting old. My metabolism is broken. I just need more willpower. If I just do all of this harder, it'll work. I'm here to tell you today, none of those are true. Not one of them. You aren't failing. You're actually using a strategy that is fundamentally mismatched with your biology. You aren't broken. You're simply fueled by the wrong things, and your body is screaming at you to change the input. In this episode, we're going to tear down the standard health advice that keeps people addicted and inflamed. We're going to talk about why fiber isn't the hero it's made out to be, why carbs are a dead-end fuel for many of us, and how to finally break the chains of food addiction. Let's get into it. I want to spend a good chunk of time here making sure you feel seen. Because when you're in this stuck place, it's incredibly lonely. You look around and you see people eating everything in moderation, and they seem to be fine. When you look at a piece of bread and feel like you've gained 3 pounds of weight overnight. I see this in my practice every single day. I work with the impossible cases, right? The people for whom every other program has failed. And there is a common thread: food addiction. I know nobody ever wants to talk about it, but it's a thing. Specifically, it's an addiction to the very things the world tells you are healthy or necessary: sugar and carbohydrates. Let's talk about what stopped responding actually looks like. It looks like waking up and feeling like you've been hit by a truck, even if you were in bed for a full 8 hours. It looks like tired and wired, where you're exhausted all day, but your brain won't shut off at night. It looks like the brain fog, and I don't mean just forgetting your keys. I mean that feeling where you're looking at your child or your spouse or a work project, and you just feel distant. Like there's a pane of foggy glass between you and your life. That's neuroinflammation. And then there are the cravings. I want to be very clear here. If you feel like you must have sugar or carbs to function, that's not a character flaw. That's a biological hijack. And I hear this a lot because people will be like, well, I love my carbs. I can't get rid of my carbs. I have to have my carbs. You name it. I hear this all the time. But when you eat carbs, even the complex ones like oatmeal or brown rice, your brain gets a hit of dopamine and opioids. And for those of us wired for addiction, that hit is never enough. It sets off a cycle of more, more, more. I remember a client, let's call her Maria. Maria came to me crying because she felt like a closet eater. Does that sound familiar? She was a high-level executive, totally in control of her life, except for the 4 p.m. window where she would find herself at the gas station buying candy bars she didn't even want. She told me, I feel like a different person takes over my body. I know this. I used to be this person too. I'm not Maria. I didn't go to the gas station for 4 p.m. candy bars, but I could not pass up an opportunity to buy a donut, a muffin, a pastry. And we would like kid ourselves and put them on top of the refrigerator and not eat them all at once. No. But it would be like every time we went through the kitchen, we would be like, oh, and then I'll just have a bite of this pastry that's up here. And then a one bite would be 2 bites. And those pastries would just be silently talking to us from the top of the fridge the whole time. It's crazy. You feel like a different person because the actual rational part of your brain is like, I know I shouldn't eat that. And then the little sugar monkey that's your addiction talking is like, no, go eat it. And if you feel like you've been losing a war with your own appetite, I need you to know you're not crazy. You're dealing with a chemical dependency on glucose. And the healthy habits you've been taught, like eating small, frequent meals or loading up on fiber, are actually keeping that addiction alive. This is where we have to get a little controversial because I know what you've been told. Trust me, I hear it from everybody. You've been told that fiber is the broom that cleans out your system. You've been told you need it for heart health, for digestion, for everything. But let's look at the reality for the person who's already inflamed. Fiber is essentially an indigestible plant material. And I've got doctors I listen to that are like, why are you eating something you can't digest? And if your digestion's already a little, it's not great. Because for many of my clients, putting high amounts of fiber into a compromised gut is like trying to clear a traffic jam by sending more cars down the highway. It does not clear things up. It just causes backup. Or worse, things go in the other direction. I've seen that too, because it boosts the inflammation through the roof and people's guts just can't handle it. It causes fermentation, it causes gas, and it can cause that like pregnant bloat after even what seems to be a healthy meal, a healthy salad, a healthy grain bowl, right? I see that a lot. People had like a quinoa bowl and now they feel like they're, 15 months pregnant. In my methodology, we recognize that fiber is not a human requirement. In fact, for the person who is stuck, removing fiber is often the first time their gut actually gets to rest. I'm going to say that again. Removing fiber for many people is actually the first time their gut gets a chance to rest. It's powerful. And then there's the balanced plate lie. The idea that you should have a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, and a healthy portion of carbohydrates. If you're a food addict, moderate carbs are a slow form of torture. And it's any carbs, just so we're clear. It's not cake and cookies and pastries. It's potatoes and rice and pasta and sweet potatoes and carrots, winter squashes. All of these things are carbohydrates. I know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And I know it flies in the face of what many of you know from other health people that you've listened, even me, a short year ago. Even me, were saying these kind of things. But those carbs are really a torturous thing to do. It's a lot like telling an alcoholic that they can have 1 shot of vodka with every meal. You would never do that, right? You never go to your alcoholic family member or friend and be like, okay, you can have 1 shot of vodka with every meal. You would never do that because it keeps the receptors inflamed. It keeps the insulin spiked. And as long as your insulin is spiked, your body is biologically forbidden from burning its own fat. If insulin is high, your body cannot burn fat. That's why so many people are stuck. You aren't losing weight because your insulin levels never drop low enough to unlock the door to your fat stores. You are stuck because you are constantly topping off the glucose tank, and your body never gets the signal to switch to its preferred stable fuel source, fat. That's something I've said a lot before. Fat is the best fuel source you can have in your body. It's reliable and it's stable. Carbohydrates are not. So burning glucose as a fuel source is like lighting a piece of paper on fire and expecting it to keep you warm for more than 3 seconds. Burning fat is like burning an oil lamp. It's going to burn for a long time. It's going to be stable. So why do we move towards a keto or ketovore or carnivore approach? Why is this the emergency exit that actually works? It comes down to 3 things: nutrient density, hormone stabilization, and brain chemistry. Animal foods, red meat, eggs, organ meats, butter, tallow, right? Chicken, all kinds of animal foods, pork, whatever you can tolerate. They're the most bioavailable nutrients on the planet. When you eat a ribeye, your body knows exactly what to do with it. There are no anti-nutrients, no oxalates, and no fiber to get in the way of the absorption. You are giving your cells the building blocks they've been starving for while you were filling up on fiber-rich fillers. When we move to a 0 to low carb model, we finally let insulin drop. This is the safety switch. When insulin drops, the body finally says, oh, okay, we aren't in a glucose emergency anymore. We can start using the energy we stored on our hips, our belly, and around our organs. The inflammation, the puffiness, starts to drain away almost immediately. This isn't fat loss yet. And I see this a lot because people will be like, oh my God, I just lost so much weight, but it's water weight. It's the puffiness. It's the inflammation that leaves, right? It's the release of the protective water your body was holding to dilute the toxins and the systemic inflammation caused by a high carb diet. By removing the sweet and the starchy, we then starve the addiction. We switch the brain's fuel source from volatile glucose to stable ketones. Have you ever noticed that you never binge on a plain steak? You might eat until you're full, but you don't find yourself in the kitchen at midnight sneaking another piece of cold beef in the same way you do with chips or cookies. That's because animal protein and fat trigger satiety hormones like CCK and leptin. These hormones actually tell your brain you are done. Carbs don't do that. Carbs just trigger more after more after more. I want to give you permission today to stop being a moderator. Our culture treats restriction like a dirty word, but if you are addicted to a substance that is making you sick, restriction isn't a punishment. It's an act of self-rescue. For the person who has tried everything, the path to freedom isn't adding more variety. It's simplifying. It's moving to a species-appropriate diet that focuses on what humans have thrived on for millennia: fatty animal tissues. When you stop the healthy fruit, the healthy grains, and the healthy fiber, the noise in your head finally stops. The food voice, the food noise, the one that's always asking, what's next? When can I eat? Is there chocolate? Hey, are those pastries still on top of the fridge? That voice finally goes silent. If you've been feeling stuck, okay, practical shift for this week, okay? If you've been feeling stuck, I want you to try a 3-day experiment. 3 days. You can do anything for 3 days, okay? Except for hold your breath. I want you to stop the fiber, stop the plants, and stop the moderation. I want you to focus entirely on fatty meat, salt, and water. If you're hungry, eat a steak or a burger. Eat 4 eggs. Use real butter. I know, scandalous. Use real butter. Use ghee. Use tallow. Use lard. Don't have seed oils. right? So no canola, cottonseed, rapeseed, rice bran. No, don't use any of those. You can use olive oil. You can use coconut oil. You can use avocado oil. Those are fruit oils, not seed oils. There's a difference. So animal oil or fruit oils. Chicken thighs, they're great. Bacon, go for it. But no carbohydrates. Try it for 3 days. Just try it for 3 days. And notice 3 things. Does the puffiness in your face change? Are you able to take your rings off, right? That's the puffiness. Notice the puffiness. Does the puffiness in your face change? Are you able to take your rings off in the afternoon? Does your energy stay stable in the afternoon? And does that screaming voice for sugar get a little quieter? It might get louder in the first day, especially if you've been a heavy carb eater. I was there. I know how it is. I make the best sourdough bread on the planet. It was a problem. Yeah. Yeah. But after 3 days, that voice might get quiet. I know this sounds radical to some of you. And if you stayed this long and you're still listening to this, it's probably because the non-radical advice has left you feeling miserable and lost and lonely and annoyed and frustrated and angry. How do I know? Because that's me. I was so frustrated and so angry and so thoroughly miserable listening to the same advice, even the Ayurvedic advice, right? Even the Ayurvedic way of eating did not help me. Okay. And I know that's going to seem scandalous to some people, and I get that. But the reality of it is that I can't tolerate carbs, can't tolerate sugar, can't eat any of it, certainly can't have seed oils. All of it causes massive inflammation in my body and my brain. And it wasn't until I switched to this way of eating, to this type of lifestyle. I still use Ayurvedic principles, just not around my food as much. Like I'm not worrying about vegetables or plants. So all I'm eating are meats and fats, occasionally a berry or something like that, but it's very rare. And it's because the non-radical advice left me absolutely miserable. And if this is you, then I want you to listen. I work with small groups of people who are ready to take this leap. We look at the addiction, we look at the biology, and we use a keto, carnivore framework to rebuild your metabolism from the ground up. We don't do cheat days ever because we don't want to restart the addiction cycle. We do deep fundamental healing so that you can finally feel like the boss of your own body again. We're starting a new group soon. April 8th for the online group, April 9th for the group that's local to me here in Richmond, Maine. If you're tired of being the person who is always on a diet but never gets results, come talk to me. Send me a message at the link below or at veronica@veronicawolff-casey.com. Check the link in the show notes, right? For more information, the link to the 1% Metabolic Reset group is there. Let's see if this radical shift is the one that finally sets you free. You're not broken. You've just been given the wrong fuel, and it's time to get back to what works. I feel very strongly that this is a right step for many people. And if it's not a right step for you, that's fine. We can still be friends. It's not a big deal. But I want you to know that it is possible to live a healthy, happy life, free of the chains of food noise, free of the chain of food addiction. And you can do that by working with me. If you don't want the group action, we can work one-on-one. That's fine. There's all sorts of options, but you don't need to feel alone. You don't need to be frustrated, and you don't need to feel like there's nothing left to do, especially if you've already felt like you've tried everything. I guarantee you haven't. Work with me, and I'll show you how to reclaim the health that is yours. Do me 2 things. First off, hug someone close to you. And if you don't have anywhere near you, hug yourself. And then take good care of yourself. And in case no one's told you yet today, I love you. And I'm convinced of your capacity to continue crafting a life worth living. thank you for being here and listening to this whole podcast. And I'll be in the next episode to welcome you in over there.